do you mean my own words? There are no such. All I know is PR.
Okay. So whatever you can say.
So Libra is, first of all, Libra doesn't exist yet. There's so much debate and so many people are sharing opinions. Libra, as you know well, is now at the stage of prototyping and getting feedback from the world. Libra is a new global cryptocurrency backed by a blockchain, a proprietary Libra blockchain. Both are still in development. I think what's most important about Libra is its purpose. Libra is about bringing financial inclusion to the billions of people that need it. I think being part of the financial services ecosystem for many years now, it's amazing that while technology has brought us so much transformation, I would even say revolution in access to information, in commerce, in communications, it hasn't done the same thing in financial services. It has done a lot, but not the same. You think about the fact that 10 years ago here in Israel, we had to pay, I don't know, the equivalent of 30 cents to send a text message locally. Today I can send not just a text, but an image or a video to anywhere in the world for practically free. The same thing has not happened in financial services. We have 1.7 billion people worldwide that are unbanked, don't have access to any financial services provider. This is what Libra is about, changing that.
So you came from PayPal, right? And David Marcus also came from PayPal. You have chosen to use a blockchain technology to build Libra. But you could have done the same without it. What was the benefit of choosing a blockchain technology to actually build Libra?
I think it's the magnitude of aspiration and the realization that for a currency to be successful, it cannot be controlled by a single entity. And this is what blockchain technology brings us. I'm, by the way, honored to be part of this community now, and we are standing on the shoulders of giants, of Ethereum and Bitcoin and others, in realizing that for something to become a public utility, something that people trust, and I'm using that word despite the trustlessness nomenclature, it cannot be controlled by one, and it needs to be transparent, and at the same time, given the importance of security and in financial services, it also needs to be secure. And blockchain brings, it's a technology or a group of technologies that brings a solution exactly for that balance.
There is a lot of confusion though. Like people still strongly associate Libra, and let's talk also about Calibra, to Facebook, although it's very clear from your white paper that this is not the case. So can you give more color about the fact that it's not just about Facebook? Who else is involved, and why it's not a Facebook project?
So first, the confusion is natural. I wouldn't say it's confusion. I think it's a combination of confusion, and even I acknowledge the fact that some of it is mistrust, right? It is a project that was initiated and was developed in Facebook. Still today, we have open sourced the Libra code that we have developed so far and released it as a prototype, as testnet in about 3 months ago. And we have many developers like you, and we can talk about that later, that are contributing to the code and building applications on top of it. But clearly, still 90% of the code was built by Facebook engineers, by Calibra engineers. So we are in a gradual transition. I think the decision was that this Facebook-initiated project is gradually, and we hope by launch, going to be owned by as many people as in the world, and that's the reason that we open sourced it. That's the reason that we have created the Libra Association that is forming and will include many entities, starting with the 28 entities that we currently have, and will grow to many more. At the same time, we're also building a Facebook service, as you mentioned, Calibra. Calibra is the name of the team or the subsidiary that Facebook created to focus on Libra and the Calibra digital wallet. It's also the name of the product, the custodial wallet that allows people, anyone, and I think given the aspiration to serve billions of people, it has to be something that is useful, usable, easy to understand, provides people the type of services that they're used to, like protection from fraud, like password recovery, like 24/7 customer service, things that modern financial services do provide, and we think most people will need. Calibra is going to be just one of, we expect, many digital wallets, including custodial wallets and non-custodial wallets, that will operate on top of Libra, but it is Facebook's main investment from now on.
So I want to zoom back a little bit on Facebook motivation, right? It was a surprise when Facebook announced the project. And I'm still trying to understand, and not just me, I think many people in the scene and in the media, what was Facebook motivation to get into that space? They basically own a large part of the media business today, or the ad business. What brought them to that industry, which is really tangent to where they are today?
So first, just I would disagree that we own a big part of the ads business, but that's probably another conversation. The way we view Facebook's goal and purpose is to create connections among its community, build relationships, strengthen the way people interact with each other. We see transferring money as an extension of other types of communication. You send a message, you send money, these are all part of one relationship that people have, and we want to be able to offer that to the world. We also, Facebook plays a very significant role in supporting small businesses all over the world. There are 70 million small businesses that the primary way of interaction with their customers is through Facebook. This is another way for us to be able to support them, and by that support the global economy and enhance. We hope to enhance that and provide greater services, broader services to this community, as well as the community of small businesses that will be built by accessing the unbanked and the underserved.
So sending money is just another type of message that you send to someone, right? Which is somewhere where Facebook is very strong and very good at.
I don't know whether it's just another. It is another way. I think, sending a video and sending a text are technologically very different, and they may convey. And you think about 10 years ago, again, the thought of sending a video among two people was unheard of. Today is day to day, and I think, yes, it's another type of communication, another bond between people, and this is Facebook's business.
So you guys have chosen probably the hardest path to launch what you guys are launching. You could have gone like a much easier way, which is like what Facebook has done for years, is launching something, asking for forgiveness after you launch, but you went another path. You announced it, and you have now all those regulators going after you. Last week, and if you were following the news, at least for once, France and Germany agreed on something. They want to stop Libra. They managed to get that happening. France and Germany agreeing on something. So all those regulators are going after what seems to be a consensus to want to stop this project. What do you think is happening really behind the scene, and why do they perceive this project as a threat?
So first, you're really asking several questions.
Yes.
I'll start with why we announced as early as mid this year, while our plan is to launch next year. I expect sometime between the end of the first half to the end of the year, something like that. That's at least our intention. Why announce so early? I think that there are mainly two reasons. One is, in order to create an open ecosystem, we have to give people an opportunity, people like you, an opportunity to build on top of it, to experiment with it, and that's the only way you can do it, right? So opening a prototype, having an open dialogue with developers, giving them the tools creating an ecosystem that is open and competitive. As I said, we expect to have many other wallets and potentially other applications on top of Libra, including at day one. For that to happen, we need to give people an opportunity to build. So that's one reason. The other is to have the dialogue that we're having now. We expected this exchange to be difficult with regulators and policymakers. It's not coming as a surprise. But for us, it's a feature, not a bug, right? It's an opportunity to have dialogue with regulators and policymakers so that we get to a place in which we all feel comfortable. Our goal is to expand access, but our goal is also to support stability of the world economic system. Our goal is to actually provide greater safety, greater security to financial services, and we want to work with regulators and policymakers. I don't want to talk about specific regulators and policymakers. I think specifically the announcement by the French and the Germans just this weekend was, if you read it completely, you get a different sense compared to what you just read from this press
The tweets were
headline.
more elaborate than that.
But I would leave it for the moment. I think in general we have a constructive, intense dialogue with regulators and policymakers. I can say that I was 2 weeks ago in Korea because this was public, and I had dialogue with regulators there, and there are many other regulators that we're in touch with to get to a
FINMA,
place.
right? You're talking with
And
FINMA.
of course, FINMA made an important announcement last week that was kind of mixed, saying that they would view Libra as a payment service or payment system and would welcome Libra filing for licenses as such. So from that perspective, we're continuing to have dialogue with regulators, and I think we will land in the good place. This is hard. We have a formidable aspiration. I think the task that we took on ourselves, financially including expanding access to financial services to billions of people. It's not just the 1.7 billion unbanked. There are a couple of additional billion that are not getting access to financial services because of sufficient access because of cost. I think it's a very important task. We need to balance it with the need in security, the need in fight financial crime. Getting the balance point is not easy, but we're working on it and having open dialogue with regulators about it.
So you did ask me while we were talking to ask you tough questions, right? And I can assure you I was open to it, but I need to ask that question. Facebook has been exposed to multiple scandals involving data privacy, security breaches, and we're not going to get back on it. And I know it's not a Facebook-only project. You made the case. But I have to ask, what guarantees will Calibra will be able to provide, knowing that it's a project started and built by Facebook? And this question is on the lips of everyone in the industry.
So we're taking security, privacy very, very seriously. We have committed to segregating data, financial data from social data, not to share data back with the rest of Facebook unless for purposes of fighting crime. And it's actually hard. It's a lot of investment because you're right. Facebook was not built under the premise of separating, and we have to build a lot from the ground up, but we are committed to it. We're committed in the level of investments that we're making in both security and privacy, and also in being very transparent about what we do and don't do. You're asking what guarantees. I think the one thing that I can say as many words as you'd like, but there are some people that are not going to be convinced, and it's their right. I think the one thing that creates guarantee is consistent delivery. We should consistently deliver on this promise, and we will. And given the fact that Libra as an ecosystem is a competitive one, where people will have choice. If we don't deliver, if we disappoint people, don't deliver on our promise, they will leave us. And one of the key attributes of the Libra ecosystem is interoperability, is the ability to easily move your assets, your funds from one wallet to the other. Of course, the ability not to use an intermediary if you wish to. So all these are attributes that will make, and we will be judged every day by our customers.
So your code is open source. You've open sourced Libra from day zero. Let's like zoom in a little bit on developers' activity. Why have you done that? What kind of activity do you see happening? What kind of contribution do you see there? I know it's still early, but I'm sure you've already seen a few things.
We are seeing, so first of all, it's, as I said, making the code open source and making the ecosystem, the Libra ecosystem, open is one of the key attributes of, or one of the key reasons we think it will be successful. It what entails competition. It's what will make Libra a public utility rather than private money, which is dimmed for failure. So we're doing this because we think this is the only way to be successful. So far, we are seeing the Libra Association is seeing a lot of interest. Many groups working on applications to build on top of Libra. Many are having intense dialogue with engineering teams. Still, many of the engineers are still Facebook employees, so we see a lot of that happening. But a lot of dialogue on GitHub and elsewhere. I've heard about ample projects. I'll mention two that I just heard 2 days ago about an Israeli group that I honestly I'm not sure they have a name, and I forgot if they have a name, but working on an application, a marketplace over Libra for farmers in Africa. So for me, that's exactly the type of things that we're looking for people to build. And there's a group, a startup called Zengo. Maybe you heard about them.
Heard.
That is building a digital wallet. I think you know a little more about that specific application than me. Why didn't you share a little bit?
I was supposed to talk about you, not about us. But for the audience asking why am I here today is because we've been involved very early on in the development contribution to Libra, both at the code level, but also we're building I think one of the first, if not the first, Libra wallet for testnet, so it can be tested today. But do you see also things that go beyond like independent developers, like large companies getting in touch with you, wanting to work with you, and not just like, the mainstream developer community?
I don't want to naturally reveal anything that another company is working on, and if whenever they want to, they will reveal. I'll just say that we have anyone can have a look on the web, which are the 28 members. Calibra is just one member of the 28 members of the association. Which companies are there? Naturally, many of them are strong, capable technology companies, and one of the reasons for them to join is the ability to build on top of Libra. So I would expect that we will see from them and from other companies a lot of investment in this space, but again, I can't comment specifically, and honestly, I don't know most of it, which is the way it should be, because we are all members in the association working to promote, not just technologically, but even from ideologically. We may not agree with everything that has been written in the last 10 years, but there's a lot that we share. Just in terms of the difference, I think, why have we chosen to build a new blockchain? I think for several reasons. I'll just mention two. One is performance. In order for a currency to serve billions of people, hundreds of millions of people, it has to have similar performance attributes as Visa, MasterCard, payments networks. So latency, absolutely. Speed of settlement, as well as scale, thousands of transactions per second. These are necessary attributes to be relevant for all these people. So that's one reason that we decided to build a new blockchain. And I think the other one is stability. You mentioned stability. And our aspiration to be a global currency that is of low volatility has led us to not to peg Libra against a single currency, but instead against a basket of currencies. You're asking about competition. I would say our key competitor is cash, and I'll explain why cash. I have nothing personal against cash. But cash, when people use cash, it is it demonstrates the limitations of modern financial services. There are many reasons for using cash, but most people in the world use cash because of limitation of access, mainly because of cost, accessing financial services. And when we see the use of cash diminish, it means that we are successful in including more people, in expanding access to financial services, and hence not cash itself, but cash as a proxy for financial inclusion is the competitor.
All right, so less cash, more bits. If you say, I see we have only 30 seconds left. So related to that cash question, the question was asked during the hearing to David Marcus. I will ask you the same. Would you accept your salary to be paid in Libra?
So first, the atmosphere here is much nicer than the hearings. I appreciate you being nicer than over there. But personally, absolutely. Libra, as I said, is pegged against a basket of currencies that, I'm actually, I don't see any reason why not to. So I would welcome being compensated with Libra. But it's also important to clarify. We don't have, and it is something that was rumored, we don't have any plan to start paying with Libra in Facebook salaries of Calibra employees or Facebook employees, not in the near future. So that's not part of the immediate plan. But personally, I would have loved to be compensated in Libra when it exists, by the way, not beforehand.
So the answer is yes.
Yes.
All right, I think we're done with timing. Where people can find out more about the activity of Libra in Israel?
Yes. So thank you for asking this question. We have, people don't necessarily know that, but almost a third of the Calibra force today here in Israel. Our main two sites are Menlo Park and Tel Aviv. And in Tel Aviv, we're currently building the fraud, the compliance, the customer service, a lot of the back-end elements of the Calibra wallet. And we're expanding very rapidly. We already have a relatively big team, and we're going to expand it significantly next year, including recruiting more types of individuals, not just software engineers and data scientists, but researchers, security. We will have functions that not only focus on the Calibra wallet, but also on the Libra blockchain, because we plan to continue to be contributors to that, to be open source contributor to Libra. So a lot of exciting stuff happening here in Tel Aviv, and we welcome anyone to find jobs that are posted and will be continue to be posted on the Facebook Israel website.
So it doesn't sound like France and Germany are going to stop you for now. This from your own words.
No comments.
Thank you very much, Tomer, and really pleasure to discuss with you.
Thank you, Tomer and Uriel.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.